Last week, we watched the growth and expansion of the church. We said how persecution began on the day that Stephen died. Stephen was the first martyr, and even though his death is incredibly sad, God still used it for his glory. But there was somebody else there when Stephen died, and he's going to become the character of today's episode. We can read in an earlier chapter than today's reading in Acts chapter 7, verse 57, during the middle of Stephen's speech where he's declaring that God has given Jesus as the Messiah and that all of Scripture is drawn together and Jesus is the way. It says, verse 57, "At this they covered their ears, and yelling at the top of their voices, they all rushed him, dragged him out of the city, and began to stone him. Meanwhile, the witnesses laid their coats at the feet of a young man named Saul, and Saul approved of their killing him." So Saul was there saying, yeah, this is completely okay. And we see that Saul was actually a man on a mission to crush the followers of the way, to crush these disciples of Jesus. He was not happy that the church was growing. He was a very zealous Jew who was holding tight to the traditions of his fathers, but yet Jesus was about to interact in a powerful way inside of his life. God had other plans. In today's reading in Acts chapter 9, we see it begins with verse 1. "Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest and asked for letters to the synagogues in Damascus so that if he found anyone there who belonged to the way, he might take them as prisoners to Jerusalem. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, 'Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?' 'Who are you, Lord?' Saul asked. 'I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do.'" And Saul is physically blinded in this encounter, and they help him back, and he goes into the city, and he waits for 3 days. And meanwhile, the Lord is working in another way. He brings out a man who has great bravery and great faith, Ananias. The Lord speaks to Ananias and says, "Go to where Saul is. Go there and give Saul this message." And Ananias is kind of like, I've heard about this guy. Not good news. Are you sure, Lord? He says, "Yes, go. I am about to use Paul in a mighty way, but go and restore him." And when Ananias gets there, he greets Saul by saying, "Brother Saul." Like, to me, that's a huge marker of faith, because if I knew some dude like that had been hurting people that I loved, the people that I cared for, Saul had been going around all of these threats. Like, did Saul ever take away people that Ananias had known? We don't know. But apparently his reputation got around. Yet Ananias answers him and is the bridge. He's kind of the gap. He helps to restore him in a gracious way, in a merciful way, in a way that actually reflects the character and goodness and kindness of God. And I hope that we can do that. It can be difficult to be the gap for somebody else, and often we're worried about what are they going to think about me or what are they going to do to me, but what a testament of faith and bravery and courage. Ananias seemed to think, yes, the Lord's got this, and he's the one that's going to take care of me, and I'm going to go do the thing that he's called me to do. We see Saul's sight is restored, and immediately he begins to preach, and God is going to use Saul, who later changes his name to Paul, in some really amazing ways.